Hey everyone, I'm Stephanie, host and head bookologist here at the Get Literate podcast. I'm a book-loving, notebook-hoarding reader and writer on a mission to change lives one book and one notebook at a time. On this podcast, we explore the power of bookology and leading literate lives. We talk all things books and reading and notebooks and writing, mixed in with mindful practices and creativity to create lives we love. You can expect regular weekly episodes focused on 3 books you need to know about on a bookish theme and how to bring those themes to life in our actual lives too. You can also expect author interviews, notebooking inspiration, and topics to help us grow through what we go through and take inspired action to make our lives better. So grab a notebook and your TBR list and let's get literate. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Get Literate podcast. I'm Stephanie and I am here with a quick introduction to today's guest. Now, one of my favorite episode structures for this podcast is when I get to talk to authors. I feel like a kid on Christmas morning to have conversations with people who have written books that have allowed me to escape reality for a bit and get lost inside the pages. I have so much respect and admiration for people who can do this kind of work. And so I am just beyond excited when I get to have a chat with one of them up close and personal. And that's what we're doing today. Today, we are talking with Elora Maxwell, and we are talking about her debut historical fiction novel, The Shore of Forever. I loved this book. And in fact, this book prompted me to add another book list to my book journal. You know I love lists. You know I love keeping track of my reading in fun lists. And I won't reveal what that list is, but it's a good one. It's also a book that's perfect for my current Get Literate theme. Every month, I choose a one-word theme to guide my reading, writing, learning, and all of the things I am loving to do over the course of that month. And this month, the theme for myself and for my community is learn. Timing with the back to school season, we are exploring ways to learn. And by learn, I mean whatever you want to learn about. Whether it's something small and frivolous, but you just find it fascinating and interesting, we're going there. Or maybe it's bigger and it's a concept or a passion or something that you've wanted to know more about for a long time. We're going there too. So this theme is perfect for talking with Elora today because I think you'll find that the topic of her historical fiction novel is fascinating. So in the interview, Elora tells us all the things. She gives us the backstory behind how this book came to be. She gives us her insight into the characters, the journeys they take, and the structure of the book. And she even recommends a couple more books to pair with hers so that we can keep our interest in the topic going. So without further ado, here is my conversation with Elora Maxwell. Elora, welcome to the Get Literate podcast. I am so excited to talk with you today.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you again for this opportunity.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. I am excited because we are here to talk about your debut novel, which I adored, called The Shore of Forever. And as you already know, but listeners will soon know, your book sparked this new obsession for me. And I love when books can do that, right? They can spark something that you didn't know you wanted to know about, plus deliver this moving and addictive storyline with these really highly relatable characters. But before I go there and I talk about what I thought about the book, I would love for you to tell listeners who you are, where you are, and just a bit about your book, The Shore of Forever.
Sure. So yeah, my name's Elora Maxwell. I'm an independent historical fiction author. The Shore Forever is my debut novel. I'm from Nebraska originally, but right now I'm living in St. Joseph, which is a town about 45 minutes north of Kansas City. So a little bit about my book. The Shore Forever is, again, a historical fiction novel. It follows the perspectives of three individuals and their journeys, not only on these ships, which we'll get into, but also kind of their story, their journey through World War II. All three of them are on a different ship as we go through the book, and all three of these ships and these perspectives kind of converge in the sinking of the Andrea Doria, which sank on July 26, 1956.
Oh, see, and I had absolutely, I'm almost sad to admit this, but I really had not heard of this before. And so I was trying to, keep track of the characters and the ships and try to anticipate where they were going to intersect. And I totally did not see it coming. And since then, though, I have just been devouring any little facts and asking everybody around me, did you know about this? Did you know about this? My dad this morning, yeah. I was like, oh, well, yeah, I didn't. So let's dive in a little bit more about the characters, because as you said, you've got these really great and parallel things that readers can dive into. You've got the different ships, you've got the different characters, you have these different character timelines that all come together so beautifully. And we've got Eloisa, Adeline, and Arden, right? Who at first are living these very seemingly unconnected lives, but they literally come crashing together with the sinking of the Andrea Doria. And I loved the book because I love the rabbit hole of knowledge it has helped me to dive into, but it really was so moving and addictive at the same time because of those characters. You've got Adeline, who is kind of navigating a strained marriage and grappling with a sense of identity. You've got Eloisa, who's embarking on this brand new big journey with her fiance and her family. And then you have Arden, who's trying to move on from grief and heal forward, and you just can't help but feel for him. And as I read, I kept flipping back and forth. Like, where are they going to intersect? Where are they going to meet? When is the past going to meet the present? How is this all going to work? And like I said, I didn't see it coming because I didn't know about the sinking of the Andrea Doria, but I was so engrossed with each of the characters separately that I almost forgot that they were likely going to come together in some way. And I just didn't predict it. I didn't predict it, which I love because it was this beautiful surprise. And I'd love for you to say more about how you chose these three characters, these three very different storylines, to come together in the context of the Andrea Doria, as you kind of chose the structure to move the book forward. I would love to get the backstory into how these three amazing characters came to be.
Yeah, so I have a lot to say about these lovely characters. Honestly, I was very lucky in that these characters came very naturally to me. They came very organically, um, some more than others, but I can get to that. I think I really put myself in Adeline and Eloisa. When I was writing this, I was in a relationship, and by the end of the process of writing this, I was engaged. And so I think I put a lot of myself into Eloisa, who is going on a very similar journey. I was moving at the time, as Eloisa is with her whole family, going across the ocean to start a new life with her fiance and her family. And so I really felt her journey, and then Adeline as well. I'm very happy with where I am. I love my career. I'm very career driven. And so those were questions I kind of asked myself when I was engaged. I was like, I'm very happy with this, but those were kind of those fears, what am I going to do when I'm not so independent? What am I going to do if I have children and I still want to, want to have that career? And so I was very fortunate in that those two female characters were able to come very naturally to me, and I was able to put my own fears and my own journey into them. And I don't think I'll be able to do that in future books, but those two were very easy for me to write. Now, Arden is a very different story.
Yes.
Uh, he was somebody who I just wrote because I wanted to have a male perspective, and I wanted to have somebody on the Stockholm because that is the ship that causes this, part of the cause, I guess you could say. And so he just kind of started off as kind of there. Like, he did not have as much depth at all when I started writing him. And it wasn't until I heard this Swedish folk song, which I included in the book. It's towards the end when they're celebrating Christmas, but I was brainstorming ways that I could make him more involved and I could make his story more interesting, I guess. And I heard this song, and it was in Swedish, so I had no idea what it was saying, but for some reason I just really gravitated to it, and I looked up the English lyrics, and I got chills because I was like, yes, this is exactly how I want his character to go. And when you read the book, you'll read those lyrics and you can kind of see how it's his story in a way. And so Arden really didn't come together for me until that very last bit, and I ended up going back and almost rewriting his whole character. The other thing I want to mention about these characters is that I knew from very early on that I wanted to include the World War II bit to it because it's a very niche group of people who are interested in shipwrecks. Like a lot of people know about the Titanic, but other than that, you're not going to be studying it. You're not going to be learning about it in school. World War II, very investing to a whole lot of people. So I knew that if I put that in there, it might help ground the history a little bit more, but also help keep people involved. So I started off with those three ships. Where are they coming from? Where are they going? Who could these people be? So Eloisa, Italy going to America. There was a huge immigration boom after World War II. And by 1956, it's kind of slowing up a little bit, but it was still very much possible. So that's easy. Eloisa goes there. Ile-de-France, a French ship, but it's going from America to France. All right, how can I connect a character here? And that's where Adeline comes in. You know, she married her French sweetheart from the war, and they're visiting her family in America. Now they're going back. All right, easy. And then Stockholm, a Swedish ship. So Sweden had a very interesting role in World War II in that they were kind of there, but kind of not. And I wanted more. So I kind of shuffled Arden around a little bit and had him go to England before the war really started, or right as the war was starting. And I know if you read the book, you'll know his story. And then obviously he goes back to Sweden afterwards because he's just a mess after the war is over. And so that's how he finds himself aboard that ship. It's the closest way for him to be home without actually being home. And so just tying all those little bits and pieces together was really, really fun for me. All three of these characters I'm so proud of. And I don't even know. Like, I'm just so blessed and thankful that they came together this organically. And yeah, I've heard a whole bunch of different people say, you know, who their favorite character is. And I feel like it's different every single time. And that just like warms my heart that so many people have found connections with these characters.
Yeah. Well, you said it was fun to write. It's more fun as a reader to
Yeah.
come together because, you know, if I had to identify just one favorite, I probably would lean more towards Adeline just because I get it. Like I get the things that were going through her mind. But honestly, there were pieces of all of them that I could relate to. You know, Adeline may have been the one that was kind of in the more forthcoming with, okay, there are things that I share with her. But even Eloisa, who's in a completely different aspect of her life than I was in, the mental questions she's asking of herself, the connections or disconnections or maybe tensions with family. We can all relate to that no matter what. And then Arden just had my heart the whole way through. And so I'm kind of a bit blown away that he wasn't as well developed in your mind right from the get-go, and that's something that happened later, because to me, he really was a core thread for me where I could really just follow him through every character, through every ship, through all of it. So I love knowing that backstory, you know, of how that came to be, because I think I see a piece of myself in all of them.
That makes me so happy because that's why I love historical fiction so much, because I can tell these stories that are not taught about or read about usually, and I can connect them to a modern audience and hopefully have people become interested. So that's why it just like blew my mind when you told me that you were so interested in this event now. And oh my gosh, that just, yes, I'm so happy.
Yeah, and you noted that, you know, there may be a niche audience of readers that not everybody is interested in the sinking of ships. You know, we know Titanic, but I challenge them to read this book and not want to, not want
Love
to
it.
go into that. Yeah, it was wonderful. I think the other thing I loved about the book, along with the different character perspectives, was this alternating timeline too. You had three different characters you were moving between, but then you had kind of this long ago and then longer ago, right? If for lack of a better word to put it, you had these competing timelines, which I loved. I loved the back and forth nature because I felt like I was getting the backstory on the characters, the backstory on the ships, but also still getting the story in the so-called present, if we can say present in a historical novel. Was that always your plan structure, or is that something that evolved as the characters evolved and just you're diving into the topic?
I think honestly, it was something I wanted to do from the very beginning. Because again, I knew I wanted a World War II perspective, and I didn't really want to tell it linearly. I wanted to keep people invested on their toes. And so, um, honestly, the way that the book is structured is exactly how I sent it to my editor. And I know we sat down at the very beginning of our journey together as editor and author and talked about if we wanted to change anything. And so she read the whole thing and she was like, no, I love it the way it is. Like, so we did not change the structure. We didn't rearrange any chapters. I think we added a little bit more depth to certain chapters, but the structure is how it was from the beginning.
Yeah, and it hooks you instantly because as a reader in the beginning, I did have to do a little bit of work because the ships, I didn't know what was coming. I didn't know how many characters, and at first, I wasn't paying close enough attention to remember which ship they were on and if it was long ago or longer ago. And so you have to just jump in, and I think that grabs you right at the beginning. And then I couldn't wait to keep going back and forth because once the ships were in my head and I met and was, fond of all the characters, then I could see it start to unravel. So I think that was such a great way to just get readers invested right away in the book and the characters, and then all of the neat information and the facts came along after that. So I'm glad they didn't have you change a thing.
Thank you. I just love history too. Like I've loved history since I was in kindergarten. This is a interesting fact, but I had a kindergarten teacher give me a book of shipwrecks when I was in kindergarten, and it was way above my reading level, but she knew I loved history and was fascinated by shipwrecks, and the Andrea Doria was in that book. And so this is a story that's been in my head for a long time, but again, like I love World War II history too. It's so fast. History is just fascinating anyway. So the more I could put in here, like the happier I was, and yeah.
So as an educator, that just warms my heart to know that your kindergarten teacher could have planted a little seed for this novel all those years ago and not even know it. Oh,
My educators, I honestly, I would not be here without some incredible teachers and professors through my life. Because this is again, my passion for this is not something I really shared with my family or my friends. I was always the athlete growing up. I loved to read, but I didn't really share that I loved to write. But I could always share that with my teachers, and I could always share that with my professors. And so growing up, I kindergarten through high school, my teachers very much were helped me hone my talent and my love for this. And then I got to college and I majored in communication and PR, which was a lot of writing too. And I got to in journalism. I minored in journalism, and so I got to learn a whole new route of writing that way. But yeah, my teachers, without them, I literally probably would never had the confidence to even try this.
does your kindergarten teacher know about the Shore of Forever for sure?
No, because I haven't been able to get in contact with her. I need to probably try a little bit harder. But I've contacted my high school teachers, and they were like, "Oh, we always knew you would do it." Like,
Oh,
but they're amazing. And
I love it. You need a social media blitz. We need to find her because
yes, we really do. We really do.
yeah, she would just be over the moon. I could tell. Oh, well, let's talk a little bit more about your love of historical fiction because when I read books, I'm a big lister. I love making lists. And in my book journal, I have lists of books. I've got, and they're usually fun, like books I've hugged, or books I will never let off my shelf, books no one will ever borrow, or books that made me hungry, just to keep it light and fun. And after reading your book, I added a new book list to my journal that is your book has kicked off, which is books that led me down a rabbit hole. And I love rabbit holes. I love finding something new and then just letting myself dive all in. And as I mentioned, I did not know about this event in history. I'm a little ashamed to say. I do now, and I've been jumping in now, but I loved what you said in your afterword, which was something like, the best part of being a historical writer is that the process of writing allows you to learn more about a topic than you ever knew, you ever intended to, you ever thought you wanted to know, and you were hoping that it inspired your readers to do the same. Now, it's already done that for me. I know it's going to for other readers, but tell me about some books for others who are now their interest is piqued. Like they didn't hear about this before and now they need to, or they did, but now they really want to dive in after hearing about how you've made these characters come to life. What are some book recommendations you might have for us that we could pair with your fiction book? Because I love when I can do that too.
Yeah, I brought two to this conversation. So the first one is Salt to the Sea by Ruta Sepetys. If you like my book, or if you love that book, like you will love the other one. The Salt to the Sea is about the Wilhelm Gustloff, which was a ship, yeah, a ship in World War II. It is the deadliest maritime disaster in history, and yet you literally never learn about it in class. Like it's never even mentioned. Over 9,000 people died. It was during the evacuation of Germany as Russia was coming in. They were trying to get their people out, and they went out into the Baltic Sea, way overcrowded. There was like over some estimates say 15,000 people were on the ship that was built for not even half that, and over like 9,000 of them died. They were hit by a submarine torpedo, and it exploded. It sank very, very quickly. But that book, I, even me, I love history and love shipwrecks, and I'd never heard about this. And there's also some kind of mystery too that the Germans had hidden like treasure on that, trying to get it out too. So it's just very fascinating. But that book also has multiple perspectives. There's a perspective of several refugees. There's also a perspective of a Nazi too, a sailor on that boat. So that is very, very, very interesting. But if you loved my book, you will like it's phenomenal. It's one of my absolute favorites. Yeah, absolutely. And the second one is yeah,
Go ahead.
it's insane. The second one is The Flight Girls by Noelle Salazar. It is about women in World War II. They were the pilots who not a lot of people talk about. It starts off in at Pearl Harbor. That's the opening, and you get that whole thing, get Pearl Harbor. But it follows a woman who's from Texas, and she comes back to Texas. That's where the WASP program was. That's where they trained a whole bunch of female pilots, and they did a lot of work on the home front during that time. They tested planes, they flew personnel across the country, they did a whole bunch of stuff like that. And there's a little bit of romance in that one, but not overbearingly so. It's very realistic, it's very real. It's got a very beautiful camaraderie between women in that story. There are moments of heartbreak, there are moments of triumph, and that's just another one that I have highlighted to high heavens because I adore it, and I love Noelle Salazar as well. So those would be my two that you could not only just pair with this one, but also just get lost in that story and want to know as much as you can.
Okay, perfect. Because so far, much of my rabbit hole adventure has happened just online and digging in online because I knew we were going to have this conversation. I knew you'd be able to recommend some. And I've loved Between Shades of Grey, Ruta's other book. So
Gosh, that book is amazing too. Oh,
yeah,
yeah, she's amazing. I love
so I
her.
think I'm going to start with Salt to the Sea
You have to. It's
complement
great.
what
And the chapters are very, very short in that one, like shorter than mine in some cases. Sometimes they're just a sentence and it's very powerful, but yeah, it's very good.
Okay, I will definitely go there and add that one to my TBR. But I do want to end, well, not quite end, but I do want to shift, I should say, to a different note because, even though this book is focused on the sinking of the Andrea Doria, and I've been saying how it has just gotten me interested in this aspect of history I didn't know that I wanted to know about, it's not the only thing the book is about, right? Those characters have journeys and stories that bring up themes that are just evident today too. So yes, it's historical fiction, but these contemporary themes are just so evident. And for me, what came up, Adeline's story for me highlighted the role of women, the role of work, where those intersect and who gets to decide. Oh, that was a big one for me with her story. Eloise's story that had some traditional family structures and what happens when those boundaries are pushed or shifted. And then you have Art and Story, which is this timeless message of love and loss and mourning and trying to figure out what comes next. And those are things that, in 2023 are pretty darn relevant. So from your perspective, what do you hope readers will take away from this book today?
That's such a great question. Like I said, that's why I love historical fiction, because you just get to connect the past and the present and the future even. I writing these characters, I learned so much about myself, and I hope that readers can also do that, whether that's with one character or all three. I think, again, what you said, these are very contemporary themes, and I feel like no matter what you're going through in life, you're going to be able to connect just a little bit to one of these people, one of these characters. They're people to me at this point. They're not characters
Me
anymore, but
too. Me too.
yeah. I just hope that not only that, but you also just learn a little bit about history, and you become interested in that, because these themes from the 50s, these stories from the 50s are all things that we can learn about and see, and all these people that came before us, we can learn about them, and we can see their struggles and learn about their struggles and take that to heart, because humanity is humanity. It's going to be the same. It's going to change, but it's always going to be at the same at its heart. And so, yeah, I hope people can just take just one thing from one of these characters and apply it to their life, or see some semblance of their life in these characters.
Oh, they will. They definitely will. I know all of them will. So tell readers how they can find you. How can they find you? How can they get their hands on the Shore Forever?
Yeah.
All the places.
Yes. So you can follow me on TikTok and Instagram. That's where I am most of the time. Author underscore Elora Maxwell. And then you can find my book on Amazon in both ebook and in paperback. And yeah, I'm working on my second and third book right now. Second one is finished, but hasn't started the editing process. But that will be about the Texas Revolution, and that will be out in the spring. And then I'm working also on a World War I book right now, and I'm just like, the things that I have researched for this third one, like I cannot. It's insane. I can't believe that no one talks about this stuff. It'll be about the Hello Girls. So they were literally on the front lines connecting calls for people like across. Like, it's crazy. But I'm only like 30 minutes, 45 minutes from the World War I museum, so I knew I needed to do something, and I just went in there and just like, looking around, and I was like, that is the story. But anyway, that's way far away in advance, but I'm
That's
just excited to
okay.
talk about history. But yeah, you can find me on social media. That will be where I post all of my goodies and all that good stuff. And then, yep, Amazon.
Wonderful. Well, even though it's far away, I'm grateful for those little Easter eggs you just dropped, because that they both sound fascinating, especially the Hello Girls. That's something that I imagine will be another rabbit hole for me after reading that one. Uh,
Good, good. More people need to know about this kind of stuff. Like, there's just so
yeah,
much you can learn from it and take away from it. And so, yeah.
yeah, and that's what books do, right? That's what books can do, right?
Yeah.
If we surround ourselves with books that push our boundaries a bit, introduce us to something new, a topic, a character, a location, it's like you're experiencing it. Like you said, like characters become friends and locations become places that you could potentially visit in real life or learn about. And I love that your aim here is not just to share the passion for the historical period that you have, but to introduce readers to something new that can help them change the way they think, or bring a little bit to their own lives. That's commendable, and it's working.
Thank you. Thank you.
So in my Get Literate community, I have a Patreon community, and every month we pick a one-word theme to guide our reading and writing and learning and loving. And we've had some pretty fun words before. We've done conjubilant, which is shouting together with joy. We've done sonder. We've done self-love. We've done also, although that's two words, but technically with the hyphen. But we've done so many words over the year and a half that the community has been going strong. And this month in September, we are exploring the word learn. And I'm encouraging people to just learn about whatever the heck you want to learn about, whether it's some random isolated fact that is going to send you down a rabbit hole, if it's a topic you've always loved and you just want to indulge that love a little bit, maybe it's the history of glitter or, who knows, whatever that topic is. And so I'm excited to share with you that I've picked your book, The Shore Forever, as our book club book.
Gosh, stop. That's amazing. That
Yes.
makes my day. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. I mean, this fiction book has sparked a really fun, can I say fun with such a hard topic?
You
But
can. You can. You can.
it has sparked so much for me that I'm hoping, maybe it'll spark interest in Andrea Doria and in that time period in history. But even if it doesn't, you can't help but walk away from your book just wanting to know more about whatever you want to know about. It's just kind of sparks something in readers. And
That's
so,
all I
yeah,
want. That's my
we'll be
goal.
reading that together in September. So
Hey, oh my
thank you.
gosh. Hey.
So happy to. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me today about the book. I can't wait to share it with everyone and have everyone kind of get lost in those characters in that time period as I have. So thank you.
Thank you so much. This has been wonderful. I love talking about history. So, yes, this has been fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, and that comes through. People can't see us, but if they were to see us, you would see your face lighting up all over the place when you talk about this. So I bet you they can hear it though.
Oh, I hope so.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Get Literate podcast. You'll find links to all the books, resources, and ideas mentioned in the show notes and at alitlife.com. Plus, if you want more, you might like to join my Patreon community. There, you'll find additional inspiration for your reading and writing life, like bonus podcast episodes, bibliotherapy book calendars, monthly book clubs, notebooking challenges, live events, giveaways, and much, much more. It's only $5 a month, and you get instant access to all of the previous content too. You can learn more at getliterate.co. And one more thing. If you love what you listened to today, please take a moment to rate and review the podcast or take a screenshot of the episode and text it to a friend. This helps the podcast grow and builds our bookish and notebookish community too. Thanks for listening.